Hey traders and investors, it's Serge Berger here. Today we're going to have a look at Lululemon, which is the athletic clothing manufacturer and retailer, or at least designer and retailer. Um, Got a lot of questions on the stock late last week as the stock basically fell into the abyss. So let's have a look. It's actually a very interesting stock, obviously cult stock for some time. What's interesting in the stock here through a longer term lens and in hindsight, which is actually important to understand, is that this sort of uptrend, sort of peaked when the rally went vertical, but then really you had this really choppy range, for basically 2 years until the stock eventually started caving lower late last year. So from that point of view, this is a classic topping phase, and we now need to sort of peel back the chart here to about 2009 to the lows there to kind of see what sort of support area might find. And through that lens, you can see basically the 61.8% and 50% Fibonacci retracement of this entire move up. That's in between those two levels is where the stock is currently wedged. So that does leave it risk down towards the sort of low to mid 30s, but it doesn't mean you can't start stabilizing here just because that's kind of an important area to be in. If we get a little closer now, let me get rid of this chart and move this one on over here. You can see on the closer up chart, and I already drew it in here. Is question mark? Is it time to start filling part of this gap? This down gap from last week is basically the stock had this very clear head and shoulders formation that through a purely technical lens that it was forming, right, and then it sort of broke below here. From where I sit, and also if I look at sort of momentum oscillators, I see a lot of divergence starting to happen. In other words, we have various momentum oscillators, for example, stochastics, that actually made a low back here in early May, and then the low in the stock here last week was actually when the oscillators made a higher low. Okay, and that's actually quite actually very bullish, at least for a mean reversion move, sort of partial gap fill, which is basically what the stock is working on now. So those looking to trade the stock from the long side also have very defined risk. At the very latest, somewhere near 36 and a quarter, 36.30, which is last Friday's lows, intraday lows. You could even go a little bit tighter than that and say make it the opening print of last Friday versus basically room into like the low 40s, right? So through at least a multi-week sort of time frame, that's kind of what we're looking at here. And so that's how I'm actually trying to play this stock here. Going forward, it's not entirely impossible to see the stock retest this area down here before moving higher again, or obviously if it caves below there, then go lower. But I think here the risk reward here is pretty good from where I sit. Hope this makes sense, guys. If you obviously got any questions, please let me know. You can shoot me a message on my Twitter handle, which is SteadyTrader. Take care, and I'll see you next video.